Hey coaches, today I'm covering my notes from Don Meyer and I'm covering his 4 types of coaches. Don Meyer fits coaches into 4 categories: unconscious and incompetent, conscious and incompetent, conscious and competent, and unconscious and competent. From top to bottom, it goes worst to best, and I'll go through these 4 types of coaches today. I think these categories are good for us to look at because they make us reflect on our own coaching, and they make us reflect on our strengths and weaknesses and make us think about ourselves. I don't think we ever just fit into one of these categories. I think we bounce between all these categories, and we all hope we can get to Meyer's 4th category. The first category is unconscious and incompetent. These coaches are usually very inexperienced. They're coaches who don't realize the mistakes they're making. They're coaches who could use some guidance. They're coaches who don't have a lot of experience running a team or a group of people, and they don't necessarily have the background knowledge either. A lot of times they're young, but not always. It usually just means that these coaches are inexperienced, and they usually don't recognize their own faults either. They're not even sure what they're doing wrong in the first place. The second type of coach that Meyer talks about is a coach that's conscious but still incompetent. A coach that's conscious and incompetent knows they have to improve. A coach that's conscious but incompetent realizes that there's areas that they have weaknesses, and they recognize that they need to work on those weaknesses. But the key thing is, the reason why they're at the next level is, he says, at least they're aware. At least they're aware that they need improvement, and they're aware of the areas that they really could improve. The third type of coach Meyer talks about, I think, is interesting. It's conscious and competent. And so you wonder why conscious and competent would not be the highest level. And it's interesting to me that he says that these highly competent coaches are good coaches, but they're conscious and they're almost too aware. So Meyer talks about how this third level of coach, even though they know what they're doing, they tend to be overbearing, too controlling. They don't allow for flow. They get too caught up in the details. They're too anal. They're too picky on the players and too controlling. And he sees this as a fault. This is a coach on their way. They know what they're doing. But he says that they have to learn to let go and let players have a little bit more control. Finally, the 4th level, the highest level of coaching, according to Don Meyer, is a coach who's both unconscious and competent. Meyer talks about unconscious as a good quality, in that you have a feel for the practice, you have a feel for the game. You know when a player needs to be pushed. You know when a player needs to be picked up. You know when a player needs guidance. You know when a player needs motivation. You can tell when a drill's been going too long, or you can tell when extra work is needed in an area. An unconscious coach is not afraid to break away from the practice plan, not afraid to break away from the scouting report, and go with their instincts when the plan calls for it. Lastly, unconscious and competent coaches are also have the ability to be spontaneous. When something's needed, they can go to that experience they have and pull something out that's needed that maybe they didn't plan for, but in the moment, it's the right thing to do. That can either be in a game situation or a practice situation or just a relationship situation with the player. So unconscious and competent, according to Meyer, is the highest level of coaching, where you're competent, you have a plan, but you can also be flexible and spontaneous. That's Don Meyer's 4 types of basketball coaches. I know I found this useful when reflecting on myself as a coach. Hope you did too.